Man, one that I just love, and I think it's part of the TED talk that he gets into, but it discusses quite a bit in this, and we implemented it, and maybe because I felt like I knew him enough that we could just keep the same word, and it goes to the idea of this investment you have to make. It's not just there's certain things you can do that are easy, but the investment to um, build into this idea is the whole concept of having Dreamweavers on your team. That their focus is this. Their focus is the people that are coming into this space, and you're going to do all you can to figure out what you can do to make them feel a certain way. And we had at Bolt Farm, we had a gal who'd been there for a long time, started as a housekeeper, kind of did a bunch of different roles, but the one thing she loved most was like doing these unique things for guests. And after we read this book, like essentially we got her the autonomy to like, all right, that's your focus, is to create the unique experience, whether we know something about them or, we did things. We'd learn something from the one spouse so we could surprise the other, or, what we learned from conversations in social media. And she just kind of had a budget, and she had the autonomy to like, all right, go wow and surprise and delight. And we just took the idea of the Dreamweaver and we just said, hey, we're going to call it the Dreamweaver because we all read the book. And so I think just that the importance of this is an investment. Like if you want to invest in creating unbelievable experiences, but also this unreasonable hospitality perspective in your business, like there's going to be a moment investment. And I recently heard him on a podcast talk about like if you were a product developer and you were just creating products, you're going to have to make the investment into developing that product. And he kind of related to his investment into the Dreamweaver the same way. It's like if we want to invest and have this product of hospitality, at some point you just have to make an investment into it and actually go for it.
And do you want to just explain what the concept of the Dreamweaver is in the book?
Yeah, so the idea of the Dreamweaver is he hired someone that they would be fully focused on paying attention, listening, taking the cues from the staff around the team of what they heard, and actually making the magic happen. Like, so an example of, you mentioned the story, or like one of the stories is like a family missed out on their beach vacation, and they heard about the trip, and they came in and brought sand and beach chairs and Bud Light, and they created a little beach at their table because they missed the flight to their beach vacation. And so this person's basically was the person, because if you're a leader at some point, like, yeah, when you're first starting, like you have to be the Dreamweaver, the GM, the sales and all that. But at some point when you don't have the time to do all the tasks with that. And so he brought someone in who's like, all right, your job is to make the dreams happen for our guests. And so they were just the ones that were executing most of the time what the other people on the staff are hearing. And they would go further. I mean, he kind of mentioned, they would sometimes go to the level of like, look on social media and look at all this. Cause their restaurant's a lot like more, what we are in hospitality is, who's coming. Like you take reservations, and so you can do some of that work before to figure out what makes them tick or what can make them feel special.
Well, you've said before that you've DM'd people when you're at Bolt Farm to create that community and obviously try and get them to book. So you have access to their social media in a non-creepy, stalky way. Like you can see what their interests are, what they like, what kind of what they might be looking for, and you tailor their stay around it, right?
And I think really the takeaway is for them, it was he hired one person. I don't know how many he ended up with, but the idea of like, you're going to put an effort with your team's resources, time, money, salaries. That's going to just focus on this. And maybe it's not their full-time focus, but it's the idea of like, these things do create bottom line revenues when you give them higher level experiences. And so it's just about making that commitment to that is what really the Dreamweaver idea is about.
Jacob, would you describe yourself as a Dreamweaver?
I would say that's hilarious because I definitely identify with Nathan said when you're the GM of a small property, you are the Dreamweaver and the doer. And I've removed myself out of that GM role and have put myself in the Dreamweaver role. So it's interesting to dream without thinking of ops, right? Because I think like for what they're doing, the Dreamweavers are just like executing and working with this autonomy. And then the restaurant GM is figuring out how it ties into the operations, right? So it is nice to specialize in that way.
And if you're in a position where you can have staff that specialize, presumably it's probably going to have to be a bit of a larger, resort maybe, or, a larger glamping site. Like, by allowing that specialization, you can create that. That's what leads to those special experiences. Because if you were the GM and you had to worry about managing 1 million staff at Bishop's Lodge, you might not have had the time to go and get the Gatorade for the kid, right? But it's you're only able to do it because you were freed up and you were specialized to do that role.
And you know how many times I got that feedback early in my career where it's like, Jake, that is not what I need you doing right now. Like, I need you to zoom out, get out of the weeds, go up, go up, go up. That was always my feedback. But when you really care, you can't help yourself. Like, you just really, like, it's a learned skill, and I'm still learning. Like, literally, I still will fail in the future by not getting out, 50,000 foot view enough. I think it's just like a real skill.